I'm not Becky. So if you're expecting Becky, I am not, but very good friend of hers and very, just a real part of Cancer Can. Has my heart for sure. So a little bit about Cancer Can, I'll kind of start there. I always tease her, the only reason that I will get up very, very early on a Saturday is for her, for Cancer Can, coffee, and exercise, because exercise is so important, and you all know that for sure. So in 2014, Becky was married to Jonathan, and he developed a bone cancer. And through their journey from 2014 to 2016, what they realized is there wasn't a lot of stuff for adult oncology. And so as he would go into the hospitals, the rooms were like really crappy. And so he thought, what could we do? And so from their their hospital room, they developed Cancer Can, nonprofit it started. Before he passed away in 2016 from the cancer, through the Senate, they passed a charitable pharmacy. So one thing that's very common with cancer patients is maybe if they do pass away, they don't use all their medicines. And so Jonathan and Becky in the Senate developed a charitable pharmacy so those medicines could be returned and kind of remarketed, rebranded, and things like that, and then given to patients because it's very expensive. Cancer is a very expensive disease, as many of you know. And so then also, as Jonathan was so admirable, he's like, why don't we just redo the rooms on the hospital floor? And so when they did, they do an auction every year. We just had one. And so I think the first one was 100 people. This one had over 800 people, and I believe raised more than $400,000. And so it's come a very long ways, right? And so, of course, they redid all the rooms on the oncology floor for the adults, and so that the rooms could have a lot more things. From there, I always say it kind of exploded. So here's what they have now. They have transportation. So they kind of merged with SNAP, and now they're giving rides to over 200 patients because not everybody has somebody that can give them a ride, or they're working, or whatever it is. And so they'll get them, bring them to their treatment, and bring them home. And so very valuable service. They also have let's see what's the next one. So we got transportation. They do families at Christmas. So at Christmas time, they pick a family that is, has cancer has touched their life, and so they navigate, they get them things, help them celebrate Christmas. Maybe it's their last one, who knows, maybe it isn't, but it just makes their life a little easier at Christmas. Cancer always sucks, but I say cancer at Christmas, it kind of sucks even more, really, and so that helps them, the families thrive. There's the grant program. So, as you can imagine, we're not necessarily funding a cure for cancer. So as many of you know, there's a lot of people that are having to live with it. And so how do you do that? If you're the only provider, how are you gonna pay for cancer? How are you going to pay for bills, expenses, anything that you can imagine when you have cancer and you can't work? Sometimes we can, but sometimes we can't. And so that grant program comes in and it really helps and extends giving to them. And let's see, we've got charitable pharmacy, transportation, grant program, Christmas, and really I think the last thing that they provide is lodging. So Spokane has become a huge hub. Summit Cancer just closed their Post Falls clinic, and so a lot of people are driving. Rooms can be 80 to 120 a night, and so by partnering and just coming alongside, they can provide lodging and helping fill the bill for people that, sometimes procedures are very early in the morning, and so they need to stay the night. Any questions so far? You guys are so smiley. A lot of times when you speak, they're like, get you some coffee. So here's why I love Cancer Can't so much, is my personal story. So I met Jonathan and Becky in 2015. So I was teaching at the school where their boys attended. They were very little, they're much bigger now. And I just saw this fire, like we have to help the community. And I thought, this is so cool, like I have to do this. Cancer had never touched my life, just people that I know. And so I thought, what can I offer? You know, and they're like, well, having cancer isn't criteria for helping Cancer Can. So I said, okay, let me see what I can do. So I did little things, you know, helping with the Facebook, writing thank you notes after an auction, you know, just little tiny things. Did a live auction event. Then last year, I got that call that many of you in this room have got, right? Or you know someone that has. My call said, Jennifer, you have cancer. So I thought, okay, but not only that, it was aggressive. And here's the thing, I had volunteered for Cancer Camp for 7 years. The thing about it is, I was in the best shape of my life, working out 5 to 6 days a week. I was gluten-free, dairy-free. I don't even think I'd had a cookie in 2 years. I will tell you, sometimes I do now. I'm kind of like, but not often. But just the epitome of health, honestly. I say my blood pressure was 110 over 70. And it came, and it aggressively came. It was an invasive cancer. And so that call meant that I would have to do chemo, that I would have to do radiation, surgery. I'm finishing a targeted therapy in November and just working so hard and just staying healthy. Here's the thing about Cancer Can. So for 7 years, I had watched them take care of patients, watch them navigate, and I knew they would have my back. And here's some of the ways they did. Becky, who I hope one day you get to meet, incredible human being, she shaved my head. I had very long hair, so I went from very long hair to it is now growing back. I get asked all the time, what are you gonna do with your hair, Jennifer? And I say, I have no clue, because I'm just glad it's growing back. It's totally different than it ever was, okay? Second thing is, I had to do chemo at Christmas. So my phone rings, and one of the board members calls and says, Jennifer, we're gonna leave a meal on your porch, because treatment the week of Christmas is just not fun. And I had so much ham, I didn't even know what to do with it. I was like, what am I gonna do this? But again, all those things told me that they cared, that my cancer mattered, something I never thought. Transportation, so another avenue with the transportation is I would have to drive daily, 40 minutes one way for radiation. Who knew that gas was gonna go to like 4 or 5, right? They gave me gas cards, right? And I remember when I actually had to pay for gas for the first time, I was like, I'm so spoiled, but again, it mattered, right? And so those are some of those ways that Cancer Can really, they really get in there, because you don't know when it's gonna come. You don't know if it will come, but they will do the work, and they will come alongside you, and you will not feel, you know, alone. Any questions?
Do they help?
CancerCant.com is the website.
Tina has a question.
Yes.
Do they help people with all forms of cancer?
Yes.
Certain forms?
No, every all forms.
And is this a local?
Yes. Yeah. And so that really was their goal, like the inland Northwest for the patients here. You know, I don't know if it will ever one day go farther. You know, they do reach Idaho, things like that. Yeah.
Well, some of the transportation, right,
Yes.
has started to spread outside of
Yes.
Spokane. But Becky
Yes.
lives in, is it Airway Heights? Or
Yeah, it's kind of like by Pullman Highway.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can totally get involved, you know, by, you know, they need drivers all the time. All the time they're needing drivers, picking up patients, taking them to appointments, coming back. Yeah, yes.
How does one get started? Do I have an assessment? How do I refer?
How do you refer a patient?
Yes. A
Yes.
patient.
So what I would do is go to CancerCant.com, reach out. Emily is kind of the right-hand gal, and they can totally direct you. They're very prompt with things. their goal was to help, and so,
Cool.
yes. Yeah. Yes. Any other questions?
Well, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.
this morning.
Thank
It's
you.
really
Thank
great.
you.
Certainly a very great organization. I'm very, very excited to be fundraising for. So I don't know if we'll bring in $400,000.
That's, and I think
But every